The Israeli military's assault on Gaza City in recent weeks has been notable for the way it has targeted and demolished tower blocks. This video was filmed today, the latest in a series of strikes seemingly designed to bring the buildings to the ground. Israel says it issues warnings to evacuate the area before striking. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, was asked why his armed forces were turning to this tactic.
We're not bringing down those towers to intimidate people. Those towers are serving as Hamas strongholds. But what we're doing is we're telling the population, because we're going to take over and destroy the Hamas stronghold, they're one of the last two strongholds and the most important one that Hamas has left in the Gaza Strip. We ask you to leave. And what is Hamas doing? They're asking them to stay, because they want to use them as human shields, as they've done from the beginning of the war.
Well, let's speak now to Tess Ingram, a spokesperson for UNICEF, who's in Al-Mawasi, where many Palestinians leaving Gaza City have travelled to. And Tess, thank you very much for joining us on BBC News. And Israel describes Al-Mawasi as a safe zone. Explain for us, if you would, what conditions are like there.
It is not a safe zone. It is not a safe place for two reasons. One, because there are inadequate services and supplies here to sustain the current population, let alone if hundreds of thousands more people come. And it's also not safe because, as we've seen continuously throughout this conflict, this so-called safe zone has come under attack, including about 2 weeks ago when at a water point, 8 children were killed, the youngest 3, while just waiting to fill up jerry cans. The situation here is, even knowing that, people are beginning to come to this area because they have no good options. It's becoming more crowded by the day on the streets of Mawasi here. And the families that I speak to are just despairing around how they're going to survive. I spent the day on the road today talking to people on the move, many people walking into the unknown, not knowing where they're going to set up and not having tents or other essential supplies to help them do so.
And I've seen reports of people who have tents actually struggling to find a spot, a place to pitch those tents.
That's right, because it's so crowded, and we've really noticed a difference just in the last few days of more people setting up on the shoulders of roads or in places that look quite precarious because there's just not enough space. But on top of that, service delivery is a challenge. For example, water. People are walking a long way now to try and get access to safe water to drink, and UNICEF is doing what we can, trucking water further out to try and help those people. But the response needs to increase dramatically if it's going to meet the needs of this population increasing in a condensed area.
What else can UNICEF do at the moment? Describe that for us, given the conditions.
We are trying to serve people wherever they are. So we are still in Gaza City where, 800,000 people at least remain, and a famine has been confirmed. So we are determined to stay on the ground there and to try and support the families that remain there. On the road today, we're supporting families as they moved. We're trying to prevent children from getting separated by giving them identity bracelets with their parents' names and phone numbers. We're providing water and counselling services. And then when people get to Al-Mawasi, we're there, we are trucking water, we're also providing nutrition support. We are doing everything that we can, but the story remains. This is not a safe place. Aid remains insufficient. And what people are being asked to do leaving Gaza City is really a death march for the most vulnerable.
And as much as people are arriving in Al-Mawasi, are you also seeing people who arrive and then decide that they have no choice but to head back towards Gaza City?
I was in Gaza City some days ago, and I met with a family who had done exactly that, who had come down to Deir al-Balah in the middle area, turned around and gone back again because they said they couldn't find adequate space. The only space that they could find was up for rent for a very expensive fee. And so they decided to stay in Gaza City with their children, one of whom has malnutrition. And I think this is the case for so many families trying to decide what to do with a really terrible set of options.
And in terms of situations that you've dealt with before, Tess, what do you see as the solution, the immediate solution here? Obviously, there are efforts to try to get to an end to this conflict. We don't know, given what happened in Qatar last week, we don't know where mediation efforts will go from here. It's a desperate, desperate plight. both for ordinary Palestinians and for the hostages and their families. What do you see as the solution to all of this?
So, of course, a ceasefire remains the best solution. But failing that, international law is clear on what needs to happen here. We're not asking for miracles. We're asking for aid to be allowed into the Gaza Strip, that aid to reach people wherever they are, including Gaza City. We must not lose access to the north of Gaza City, but we also must scale up for the people coming to the south. And also, people must be protected wherever they are, whether they stay there or whether they leave. They must be protected under international law. Now, unfortunately, in this conflict, far too often, we're seeing complete disregard for those rules, for the provision of aid and the protection of civilians. But now, in this moment, we need to see that more than ever.
OK, Tess Ingram from UNICEF joining us from Al Mawasi in Gaza. Thank you very much.